planet. So why don't we? Well, once you get past the facile explanations such as, oh, it's politics and it's transportation and the cost is great, and, you know, get past that. It's that way because somewhere somebody wants it that way. If nobody wanted it that way, it wouldn't be that way. So there's more of us than there are of these New World Order people, and we simply need to get all the people of good conscience and good heart together and say, we don't want it that way. And we...
Absolutely. Well, okay, so, but there is a ruling elite, right? And,
right.
And you've delved into that, I'm sure.
Right, I've detailed them and tracked their history.
Okay, so you're talking about, you know, just for the sake of the video, you know, Bilderbergers, Council on Foreign Relations, certainly Majestic 12, and I know you're something of an expert on them, right? Mm-hmm. So all of these organizations are rolling out an agenda right now, and the question is, how soon is what they're going to are they going to be done accomplishing this, you know, Fourth Reich, if you call it? In your opinion, is this something? Are we already there?
We're very, very close to a Fourth Reich, because Reich in German simply means empire. And the United States, of course, today is the preeminent empire on the planet. And it's going to be up to us, the members of the empire, citizens of the empire, whether we act as an empire and become the imperial empire, in which case we're probably going to take a fall, just like the Roman Empire, just like the Third Reich and everybody else, or do we try to bring peace, prosperity to everybody, instead of trying to lord it over and hog the resources of the planet. It's basically just kind of a consciousness shift is what it is. A good illustration is in my home state of Texas. When I was a kid, the highways were just terrible. They were littered, you know, because people just, you know, you got through with your drink, you just threw it out the window. And it wasn't that we thought we were littering and were trying to do bad. We just didn't know any better. It's just, oh, well, I'm through with that, and it's out the window. But they instituted a Don't Mess with Texas program, signs everywhere, and they raised the consciousness. Mm-hmm. And people begin to realize, wait, it's not really right to throw all your trash out on the highway. And I'm not going to try to say that highways in Texas today are spotless, but they are 150% better than what they used to be, and not because of any of the littering laws, although they're on the books, but I don't know if anybody's ever gotten a ticket for littering, but the consciousness raising. And then we could do the same thing with the people in the United States. The people in the United States are good people. We give more to charity than all the other nations of the world combined. And if we simply understood the truth of a situation and we're not being pushed from pillar to post by the corporate control mass media, then I think we could probably figure out ways to handle the situation and to spread the wealth to where everyone could have a little piece of the American dream.
Well, wouldn't you say, though, that there's some kind of plan afoot, though, to take down the American government altogether? I mean, that's actually what's being fought behind the scenes.
That's absolutely true, and that's what's going on, because the United States has been the biggest stumbling block to these globalists who want to see a one world government, one world socialist system. And the reason for that is because in the United States we have a tradition and history of individual freedom. And we have the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which gives us a legal basis for our individual freedom and liberty. And three, we have guns. And we can see to ourselves that we have individual freedom and liberty, but right now there is a movement afoot under the new Obama administration to register firearms, to register ammunition, and to basically try to disarm the population. And if that ever comes to fruition, then we're just going to become serfs in a new middle age of feudalism.
Well, what about China? You know, because there's talk that China may be set to invade at some point in the future, that we may be having war with China. Have you heard anything to that effect? Well,
you know, some Chinese generals are even on the public record saying war with the United States is inevitable. I don't know why. Right now, we're totally dependent on each other. We're dependent on China to produce just about everything that we use. You know, go in any store and pick up a product and look on the bottom, it'll say made in China. Right. Okay, but then likewise, they're dependent upon us, because if we're not there to buy all this junk from them, they don't have a market. So I think some of this belligerence is concocted, because actually, if you want to know here's the real game plan, okay?
Okay.
And this was articulated back in 1948 by a man named Eric Arthur Blair, who was a British Fabian socialist and very well connected to the royals and to the aristocracy there in England. And I think he actually had a pretty good view on what the overall game plan was. And so he wrote it all down in a book under the pen name George Orwell. Okay. And of course, that was 1984. And in there, if you'll go back and reread 1984, you'll find that they had divided the world into 3 economic blocks. In 1984, they called it Oceania, Asiana, and East Asiana. In today's real world, it's the European Union, the soon-to-be North American Union, and the future Asian Union. And then what they do is they play 2 of those blocks off against each other perpetually to create the tension necessary for arms races and for defense spending and lots of loans going through that generates profit and control over the population. Right. That's the game plan.
Okay, well that's a great overview of what's in operation right now. Do you believe that there's also, you know, the Georgia Guidestones, basically what they say, which is elimination of the population as one of their objectives?
Right. Whoever built the Georgia Guidestones, again, I think was privy to this New World Order agenda. And this is where I do depart from their thinking. I have an interview with General Maxwell Taylor that was done in the early 70s, and he being not only our last ambassador to Vietnam, but also a ranking member of the Council on Foreign Relations. And I think he was fully articulating their thinking. And he said, basically, that by the beginning of the next century, well, that's now, he said we have to eliminate, you know, about 1/3 of the world's population. Because he said the basic overall problem is overpopulation, and that lays at the heart of all the other problems, pollution and the economy and everything. And he said this will be done by limited regional conflicts like Iraq, Afghanistan, disease, AIDS in Africa, and starvation, which is prevalent in many of the third world nations. And he said, I'm not sure we could save these people, and I'm not even sure we should try. And so that is their thinking, to decrease the world's population. Now, here's the fallacy in their thinking. There really is no overpopulation problem. I heard this stated some years ago. I didn't quite believe it, so I checked, but it's absolutely true. The entire 6.5 billion human population could actually live comfortably enough in the state of Texas.
Really?
Really. So it's not a overpopulation problem, it's a population concentration problem. You have most of the world is jammed into these huge metropolitan areas, big mega cities, okay?
Right.
There are other ways of doing things, okay? I could picture a world where you and Bill could live out in a beautiful countryside, a rural setting, okay? Got your little lake there, and you've got an orchard, and you've got a garden, and you're just doing great. And when it's time to go shopping, then you get on your bicycle or your little electric cart, and you go down to the little station, and you hop a high-speed electric line, zoom, that would take you to a shopping center area, like a huge mall. And you go through there, and you do your shopping, okay, and then you zoom back home and get on your bicycle, pedal back to your little place, and you have your own little energy collector generator, all right, you're self-sufficient energy-wise, and you'd say, yeah, but what do I do for work? Well, it would be whatever you wanted to do, because we're in an awkward situation now, because we've all been brought up on this Christian work ethic that says everybody's got to work, okay? Well, that's a product of older times when truly everybody had to work just to survive.